Back. Thanks again for joining us. We're coming to you live from the South African National Space Agency's operations here in Hartbeespoort. It's about a couple of kilometers or so from Krugersdorp here in Gauteng, and we're here because of the World Space Week, which it takes place from the 4th to about the 10th of October. South Africa having a special celebration in Umtata tomorrow, where the Minister and the Department of Science and Technology will be doing an outreach, making sure that ordinary citizens such as myself get clued up on South Africa's role when it comes to space race. I'm going to speak to an individual who knows a lot about that. In fact, he's one of the operations team at this particular site. I'm joined by SANSA's Space Operations Managing Director, Mr. Raoul Hodges, and also someone who's very heavily involved in making sure that young women participate in the area of aviation, of science and technology. It's a Fundi Sithebe. She joins us as a Communications Officer, Southern African Women in Aviation and Aerospace Industry, otherwise known as SAWIA. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Hodges, first and foremost. This area where we are at the moment, this site has a long history when it comes to participation of South Africa in space. Give us a little bit of glimpse of that history.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity. Hartbeespoort has got a very rich history in space, and South Africa for that. The space industry started in South Africa around about 1958, and this site was established in 1960. By the then NASA, and the site was shared by JPL and DSIF, and what got involved in the Apollo mission. From there on, it just grew. In 1976, roughly, the NASA withdrew from South Africa in the space industry, and it was taken over by the CSR, and then created and built up to be able to track international satellites and be a little bit daunting or challenging in growing the organization to track more and more satellites for international use, and South African satellites that were launched. In 2011, we became the South African National Space Agency, and that was to get all the people and the players in the space industry together and create one team that will take this initiative forward.
It's a huge operation that you're running in this particular space, because we're seeing antenna, satellite dishes galore. There's a lot of technology involved here, but it's not just the history of this place that's significant. Presently, we're quite active too, aren't we?
Yes, as Hartbeespoort, we probably track about 18 to 20 satellites a day for own use or Earth observation data, and most of it for clients. And you must remember, Hartbeespoort at the tip end of Southern Africa is one of the only stations in Africa that can perform these tasks, and therefore the location is key to South Africa and key to the industry, because it puts our foot in the door in the international space industry.
Before we run out of time, very quickly, at the moment you are working in collaboration with a number of other countries to send a satellite into orbit. Tell us about the three countries that focus on that and our role in that quickly.
Presently, we are busy with the launch of a spacecraft, and to be able to put a spacecraft in orbit or place it correctly, you need three ground stations around the world to be able to continuously see the spacecraft. And at present, we're one of those stations putting up the spacecraft for an international company.
It's quite impressive. And something else that's very impressive is the role that women are playing in this field now. More and more, we're seeing them active, not only in the space sector, but also in aviation in general. Fundi, speak to us about the role of SAWIA and the collaboration that you have here with SANSA.
Thank you so much, Ayanda. I think what's important for us is, you were just saying, and I was listening to Raoul earlier on, we don't know what we're doing in South Africa in terms of the aerospace and the space space. So what we do as SAWIA is we want to take opportunities out there, specifically to the youth, specifically to girl learners, to say, hey, there are opportunities within aviation, there are opportunities within space. We ourselves don't know about them, but we partner with institutions such as SANSA to bring them on site, to be able to feel, see exactly what happens, and to be able to open up those opportunities of what they can be after school.
And that's why you participate in the Aviation and Space Camp 2014 to educate youngsters. It has begun already. Today sees a group of youngsters coming to SANSA to see the space side of aviation. Speak to us about that.
Thank you so much. Well, what we've done is that in partnership with SETA and the Department of Transport, we've packaged this camp. And really this camp is for 100 girls that were chosen from across the country to come through for a week to be able to learn about aspects of aviation and space. So they're they've gone through to the airport, they've gone through to airport operations. We've shown them how to build model aircrafts. They've had a lot of aviation related stuff. And today we said, in line with the week of space, it's only fitting that today we bring them here to SANSA. So they're here today to be able to learn, and they've asked questions, to grasp, and just to be open-minded about what they can do within the space.
It's important to get them while they're still young, isn't it? So that you spoke to me about this earlier. Subject choices get into this so they can make sure that they're wide awake in science class and they're not snoozing off thinking, I'm never going to need this subject. But to get them at that stage where they can still make a choice in their lives to focus on particular subjects that will get them to where you are today.
That's exactly it. You've hit the nail on the head. And what we're saying is that we choose them. At the moment, it's grades 10s to 12s. But actually, and we need to start getting them even earlier. We need to start sparking that interest in science and maths. And, we keep on in really enhancing the fact that it has to be pure maths. Like you say, don't just think that you can get away with this maths literacy, and one day, boom, you're going to become a pilot. If you're serious about it, start early, start working at a grade 8 level so that you can work towards those proper subjects, and you can put yourself in a position to be able to approach a SANSA for bursaries that they've got, to approach aviation institutions, because you've got the right marks and the right attitude from a very early stage.
I do not want to mess up anything that you've said, so I'm not even going to give a backlink. Valen, I know you heard all of that. Over to you now.